Woosa, wake up South Africa. You've been sleeping far too long. Wake up South Africa. Now come along and sing this song. Wake up South Africa.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj, and Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. My name is Maxine, and I'm the host for today. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for joining us today. I'm very, very excited to hear you speak, and it's very, very nice to see you today. So thank you so much, Maharaj. Over to you, Hare Krishna.
Haribo. Thank you very much. Just one check, one sound check. Okay, looks good. I think I'm okay. Oh, all right, so the golden avatar, Lord Caitanya. What shall I say? I live by the grace of Lord Caitanya. Otherwise, what is someone from this age of Kali doing here, dressed up in robes that traditionally saints would wear? How is it possible? How is it possible that one who is just so much corrupted by the ways of the modern world suddenly is here? Suddenly is here in an assembly of exalted devotees. This is what happened when we became part of the movement of Lord Caitanya. And even if we have not become saintly in all respect, still saintly, says Bhagavad Gita, because we are devotees at heart. This is the mercy of Lord Caitanya. It awakens. Lord Caitanya awakens our natural devotion. Because everyone by nature is a devotee. Everyone by nature is has a natural dedication in him. Everyone. When we do something, we can just do it mechanically, maybe for the money, or we can do it and put a heart into it and try to do something really, really nice. This is bhakti. This is devotional service. So Lord Caitanya, he is Krishna, who came 500 years ago to this world again. But this time, the Lord came as a devotee. And he came to show what it's like to be a devotee. No one had ever seen anything like it. Everyone thought that if you simply attend nice church services, temple services, and you are going regularly every Sunday, oh, then you are a great devotee. Everyone thought if you give regular donations, oh yes, then you are a great devotee. But Lord Caitanya showed that real devotion is not an external thing, and that real devotion is really about love and about dedication, about giving everything. Um, when Lord Chaitanya danced, he would just throw his body in the air, very high. He would jump way above everyone else. And then he would just come crashing down. Didn't even look how he would land. Sometimes they would catch him because otherwise he would just crash on the ground, and it was as if his bones were being crushed. So Lord Chaitanya, sometimes he would spin. He'd spin very, very fast in circles. Other times he would just freeze and stand in a pose, repeating one line of a song about Krishna again and again and again for many, many hours. In this way, Lord Chaitanya was not of this world. When Lord Chaitanya saw Lord Jagannath, he was crying rivers of tears. So many tears were streaming from his eyes. Where was all this water coming from? And so this is the first picture. Lord Chaitanya, who is showing this extraordinary love of God, trembling, hair standing on end. No one had ever seen anything like that. Falling unconscious and just then again awakening and being totally ecstatic. At night, every night, not asleep. Oh no, no. At night, dancing, chanting, kirtan, yes, all night. Right? Talking about all-night parties. But not your regular all-night party, but parties that were transcendental. The difference between an ordinary party and a transcendental party is that in an ordinary party, we're trying to have a good time at the moment itself. In a transcendental party, we're having a good time in the moment itself, and we're getting eternal benefit at the same time. That's spiritual life. We get eternal benefit every time. That is the amazing nature of spiritual life. Eternal benefit. And so all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya throughout the ages, although Lord Chaitanya appeared 500 years ago and was 48 years on this planet, Lord Chaitanya is eternal. And as Lord Chaitanya was available 500 years ago, he's equally available now. And as one could be an associate of Lord Chaitanya 500 years ago, one can still be an associate of Lord Chaitanya now. So in this way, we are not just worshiping Lord Chaitanya for the 48 years that he appeared here on earth, but we are seeing Lord Chaitanya as a manifestation, as the most merciful manifestation of Krishna, who is eternal and who is accessible by anyone right now. That is very significant. I myself, somehow or other, I had traveled to India quite a number of times before Krishna consciousness, because I had heard that India was a very spiritual country. So I went there and I didn't have money, so I traveled overland very long distance, 3 weeks by bus. And then I made it to India. And India was a country where there were so many temples, people were all worshipping in these temples. At night, you would hear people walking around, going to temples. There would be, I was staying near the Ganga. You'd see people collecting water from the Ganga, the holy water, boats with pilgrims chanting in some bhajans, some spiritual songs aboard these boats. In the evening, couples that would come and had made a little boat of flower and leaves, a leaf boat with flowers inside and a little flame. And hundreds of such little boats would float on the waves of the river. And I was sitting on the temple steps. There are like maybe 10 kilometers of stone steps along the banks of the Ganga in Varanasi going into the river. And many platforms and temples there on the banks. So it is really something. In that place, I could appreciate how spiritual life was the goal of the people. And that was amazing, because I had not seen such intensity of spiritual interest. Where I came from, yes, there were spiritual people. Yes, there were many people interested in spiritual life, but not everybody. So I was overwhelmed being in India by the mere quantity of spirituality around me. Then, over time, though, I began to see that not all spirituality was the same. Over time, I began to see that, yeah, different people had all in the name of spirituality, had a different goal. I also saw in India. I saw in Jagannath Puri, I saw men rolling around on thorn branches, all in the name of spirituality. I was not convinced. I thought, no, this is not for me. This is not what I'm looking for. So gradually I began to see that in the spiritual marketplace, there were many things that appealed to me and some things that didn't appeal to me at all. I began to see that some things in the spiritual marketplace made sense and others did not. I began to see the distinction. I saw how they worshipped a deity of Kalima. Kalima, a ghastly female form with a tongue hanging out and with weapons and many arms. I was not so, and as I began to read, all that I saw made me want to read. I also saw that they sacrificed goats. One day, I was staying somewhere, and suddenly, one lady started singing, and there was playing of a drum, and the tempo was picking up. And next moment, I look out of my window, and I see a group of people with a goat, and they slaughtered the goat with a sword right in front of my eyes. Then they offered the goat to Durga, and later knocked on my door to ask if I wanted some prasad. Yeah, some nice Durga goat prasad. I said, no, that's okay. I'm a vegetarian, thank you. They said, oh, but this is prasad. Huh? They said, this is prasad. So, and then they all had a big feast out there on the goat. I did not believe in that, because I thought spiritual life should be full of compassion and should be full of kindness towards all living beings. Otherwise, what's the difference between material and spiritual life when one living being uses another one as his food? Basically, we're looking at a dog-eat-dog world, that we're looking at a world based on selfishness. And in my mind, one of the glorious things of spiritual life had to be that it was not only about the happiness of ourselves, but that the real spiritual definition of happiness should be the happiness of all. I found that in the Bhagavad Gita, where it says that Krishna was Suridam Sarvadehinam, the well-wisher of all living beings. That is interesting. That is very interesting. I thought, yes, we should also, if we become servants of Krishna, then, which is what this book says, then we should also become the well-wisher of all living beings. So I began to absorb some principles of the Bhagavad Gita. We're not this body, we're eternal spirit soul. We are the well-wisher of all living beings. And we are the eternal servant of Krishna. Krishna is the most kind God. I had read some books, and God didn't always look kind. One time, we were in the city of Amsterdam, and just about to start a Harinam, there was a street artist, and the street artist had drawn a picture of God, an old man with a beard, sitting on a cloud, looking down, pointing a finger. It looked very serious. I just looked at that picture. It looked a little threatening. And then we went on the Harinam. As we carried on with the Harinam, after about 100 meters, suddenly from somewhere on the first floor, a toilet seat flew out of the window. We had to duck. It flew right over our head. And well, we didn't stay around to see what was coming next, considering where the person was and what he was throwing out of the window. You could just imagine what might follow. So, we moved fast, but it was a bit shocking. Flying toilet seats is not what you expect, every day. Then, yeah, we carried on with the Harinam, and it was okay. But then, and some people, they liked it. They made a few dance moves, and it seemed to be okay. And next moment, one man comes up, and he just spits in front of us on the ground. Whoa, what's going on today? I mean, flying toilet seats and spitting people. What's happening? Why so intense? Anyway, we went around. That's what we usually do in Amsterdam. We do Harinam in a circle around the center of the city, and then we come back to the same point where we started. So as we came back to the same point where we started, and I saw that drawing again. I saw that punishing God, and then I was thinking, yeah, it's not surprising that people throw toilet seats, that people spit, right? Because who wants a punishing God? Who wants? When religion is all about repentance, and oh, thou sinners, thou can wear only black clothes, no collar. Not allowed. No, because you cannot enjoy. And Sunday is the day of the Lord, and that day thou cannot enjoy. No. So thou cannot go out. Thou wilt stay at home. We had one in our street. We had one family like that. They lived opposite from us. And on Sundays, the kids were not allowed out of the house. They were not allowed to play because they were not allowed to enjoy on the day of the Lord. I thought it was the most strange thing in the world. And in protest, I would kick my ball in their garden and then walk in and then just show it to the kids who were sitting behind the window. I got my ball, right? Or sometimes even I had ice cream and I would lick it in front of those kids. You know, that ice cream tasted very nice, I must say. I still remember. Yeah, in this way, even in my childhood, I was protesting against the punishing God, the punishing religion, the darkness, the gloominess in the name of religion, or religions that were just all about rules, just rules being imposed on me. Follow this rule, follow that rule, so many rules. Now I appreciate that some rules and principles make sense because all of us have a higher nature and a lower nature. And what to do? We are in between. This is it. We find ourselves in between the higher nature and the lower nature. And it's funny. When we give in to our lower nature and just say, after all, man is just an animal, and we just go for it, then after a while we feel, nah, not satisfied, and we want again the higher nature. Yeah. And when we give in to the higher nature, then, and we just become devotees, then suddenly we start to think again of the lower nature. So this is our situation. We are in between. So therefore, I can understand that the lower nature is not going to bring me much good. Therefore, I can understand that I want the higher nature. I understand it's better, but I don't have much strength to do it because the lower nature is pulling at me. And as a result, yes, I have some rules, regulative principles, no meat, fish, or eggs, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and things like this. I have some rules. But, so the rules may be there, but the rules are the support. You have a house, you have a wall around the house. Now, some people have a high wall and you hardly see the house. So now I can walk past and I can say, oh, look, there's a wall. There's a wall. So now there's a house. There's a house, and the wall is around the house, but it's not about the wall, it's about the house. Okay? It's like you're not having a wall, you know, it's not like I'm going to buy a wall, okay? And then I put a house in the middle of it, you know, but I'm buying it for the wall. No, I'm buying it for the house, and then there's a wall around it. Yeah? So that's it. The regulations, the rules are not the substance. We are not the International Society for Rules and Regulations. Prabhuji, 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 yes, that is not proper, Prabhuji. And we spend all our time telling each other what is proper, what is not proper. I look at my neighbor and I say, how can you eat like this? How can you sit like that? How can you do this? How can you do that? That's not inspiring. No. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, right? What he came to bring. Yes, there were rules and regulations to control the lower nature, but that was not the goal. That was just a support. Right? The essence of what he came to give was to taste nectar, to taste ecstasy, to have fun, to say it in more contemporary language. It's like, that's it. Spiritual life is supposed to be fun. Yeah. Now that sounds good. Sounds sort of like, okay, well, maybe that one is for me. Right? I was thinking, you know, I had tried different things. I went once to a Buddhist monastery, and you know, and there was a old tower with a canal around the tower, a moat. So there was water around it, and a bridge, and they would pull up the bridge. And then at night you'd go in, and then you were inside, and they wouldn't let you out till the next morning, 10 a.m. Anyway, I decided, okay, I'll do it. I stayed for one night. And we got up at 4 and we're chanting, oh, and breathe in through one nostril and breathe out to the other nostril, and so on. So we did all these things in the morning, and it was okay with that. But then it was breakfast time. And at breakfast time, they gave one piece of bread, just a little bigger than my eye, but not much bigger, with some miso in top. Miso is a black paste made from soybeans. And I'm not sure where the word comes from, but I think it comes from miserable. And it tasted really like, you know, what shall I say? Oh God. And there was this little piece of bread. And as soon as I saw it, I knew it was going to happen. I was going to eat, and I was going to be hungry. If there's one thing I hate, is when I eat and I'm going to be hungry. And I was thinking about this. Is that why does it have, is this spiritual life now? Is this spiritual life that I get like a piece of bread, which is clearly too small, right? With some miserable on it? What's the point? Right? What's the point? Is this it? Is this spiritual life a life of self-denial? Yeah. Can't you just have a normal breakfast? Yeah. That's what I was thinking. And I felt that this process is artificial. Yeah. This is artificial. No, I don't think so. I don't think this is right. So, as you can see, before I came to Lord Chaitanya's movement, I explored what was there in the marketplace. I checked it out. And I have many more stories of other things I checked out. You know, I was with some Sufis, and they'd sit for hours, and they just spin their head. Now, for hours. It's intense. You know, you can try it now if you want to. Everyone have a spin. Savisachi's into it. See, look, he's spinning. Have a spin. Yeah. A good one, not a little. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Spin. Come on. Yeah. Well, you know. I mean, after already 30 seconds, you start to feel a little light in the head. Right? You sort of feel like, can you imagine how you feel after 1 hour? Yeah, they think it's enlightenment. We think it's dizziness, you know. So again, I wasn't so convinced, you know. I mean, when we were kids, we would spin around in circles, right? That's what kids love to do it. Spin around until you almost fall over. You know? That's every kid does that. And I was thinking, I don't know, what is this? I was not attracted. I felt, why do we need such an artificial technique? Why do we need an artificial technique to get to true behavior? Real spiritual life means true consciousness and true behavior. Yeah? And I thought, why do we need to do something artificial to get to the truth? Rather, the truth should get us to the truth, I was thinking. So all these things I got answered in Krishna consciousness, in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Because there, the goal of spiritual life was fun. And all right, there were some rules, but it said the rules are in the beginning. When you're still under the influence of the lower nature, then you need to follow rules to make sure you don't fall down to unwanted activity, things you don't really want. Yeah. It's a Saturday night and you ain't got nobody, and you know, you slip back in an old habit. What can be done? Someone says, hey, try this. And you say, oh, I don't really want it. You say, no, come on. Hey, come on. It's good. It's very special. I don't have this quality every day. You know what I mean? Oh, yes. Once a year, I get something of this caliber. Have a go. Come on. Yeah, like that. It may get out of hand. It may get out of hand, or the hand may get out of hand. Yeah. The hand goes on the shoulder and slides down. Oops, what happened? So such things, they happen. A slip of the hand. Yes. Therefore, some codes. Therefore, some rules. Yeah. All right. But when one is actually coming to the spontaneous platform, where one is purified after the initial purification, then spiritual life is all fun. It is all fun. And the fun increases. And there's fun from day one. Yeah? This is an important part of Lord Chaitanya's movement called fun from day one. Yeah. This is, you start with kirtan. Yeah, first time go, wow, this is not bad. It's sort of like nice music. But you know, right, that that music is not just about one person doing it and everyone else sitting. Even in African tradition, you know, there's lots of interaction, right? Some people sing, and the audience sing, the audience moves their hands in a certain way, and everyone does the same move. There's interaction. Kirtan is all about that. It's all about interaction. It's about, you know, one can be a great kirtan leader, you know, but you cannot do kirtan alone. Right? You know, you need other people. And the kirtan, you don't make it happen alone. It's not the kirtan leader who makes the kirtan happen. Okay, he starts the melody, but it's everybody else partaking that makes it happen. Right? It's everyone. He sings and a certain tune, others follow, try to sing it in the same way, you know. And sometimes there's variety. Instead of Hare Krishna, suddenly he does Hare Krishna. What is that? What did I just hear? Did I hear Hare Krishna? Okay, everyone does Hare Krishna. Yeah. Or you know, or suddenly it goes. Suddenly a really long note, you know, like, I mean, so kirtan is playful, kirtan is creative, kirtan, and it's the creativity of one. And then there's the dance. We had some fun kirtan in Pretoria in our days. I used to stay there. When I see Savisachi, I'm thinking of those Pretoria days where we would have crazy kirtan. Already in the morning at Mongol Arti, it would get serious. Right? It would roar. And then when it was time for Tulsi Puja, wow, we would circumambulate Tulsi, and really fast. It's just like, we weren't like, yeah, there wasn't like a funeral mood, you know, where everyone slowly and seriously and solemnly walks around Tulsi, you know, in the mood of someone that's just died. No, it was wild. It was as if people were chasing each other at high speed, going around Tulsi, jumping also, and spinning and all kinds of things. It was, and laughing, and I don't know what was going on, but it was wild. Yeah. Then, you know, we would have Vraja Balaba on the drum. Yeah, just Vraj and the drum and Vraj would merge. They would become one. Is it possible that a man can become one with a drum? You may not believe it, right? Because you've never seen it. But I tell you, it can be done. It's like just Vraj became a drum with legs and hands. And it's just like beating that drum, totally absorbed. Then we had like, one time we had a visitor that was Harinamananda from the famous Harinam Ruchi band, you know. And he is known as the man with the rubber feet, right? The dancer. And, you know, you always see pictures of him flying through the sky and so on. So he came to Pretoria. Well, you know, and there he was. And he was the big dancer. And what happened was a circle formed. Yeah, the devotees made a circle. Then someone jumped from one side of the circle to the other circle in a big leap. The drummers immediately saw it. It's getting good. They down on their knees, started to drum. Then everyone started to fly from one end to the other. Then we got the circle thing where everyone is doing their own little dance in the circle. Now show what you can do. And everyone did a dance, you know. Some were shaking the top, some were shaking the bottom, some were shaking the head, and some were shaking everything. Whatever was going on, it was all good. And then our famous guest dancer did a few steps and a few jumps, and it wasn't bad. But then in the end, we got Jambavan, the coolest of the cool, right? He didn't do anything like that. Jambavan dove into the circle and started swimming in the middle of the circle. That was really like, that was something else. He was swimming in the ocean of transcendental nectar. And everyone was just like, you know, it was so much fun because it's like, it's not rehearsed, it's not choreographed, it's just spontaneous. Some things are rehearsed, you know. I mean, there is this thing that's pretty rehearsed. But so there's immediately taste. Of course, there's always some wallflowers who don't like kirtan. There's too much noise. They prefer the more soft and meditative thing. I don't like this. But then for them, they usually catch up when the prasadam is served out. I mean, then they get the transcendental taste. Yeah, this is very nice. Prasadam is universal. It goes, prasadam works, kirtan and prasadam. These are two languages that work anywhere in the world. And that's very nice. So Lord Chaitanya's movement is based on kirtan. When Lord Chaitanya appeared in this world, there was an eclipse of the full moon. It was evening time, somewhere between 9 and midnight, maybe closer to 9. But anyway, there was an eclipse. I actually looked it up. I went back and I calculated back what time was the eclipse in 1486 in West Bengal, and it was between about 9 and 12 midnight. And so there was a full moon, and that full moon was covered now, and so everything was dark. In India, they know that the dark planet Rahu covers sometimes the sun or the moon, and they know that this is not good at all, that Rahu is a demoniac planet, and they know that the influence of Rahu is very negative. Therefore, we see many people stay home and they cover their whatever they have in supplies they have in the house with kusa grass, holy grass. But the Vaishnavas, they come out, and many people go to the holy river. In Bengal, in Navadvip, Navadvip is on the bank of the Ganga. All the people went to the Ganga, and they went into the water, and they stood in the water, and they start chanting the holy name. And everywhere the holy name was being chanted. That's when Lord Chaitanya took his birth. A little later, the baby would cry and had a powerful voice. As a big child, had a powerful voice. Crowd cried very loud, but the ladies found out that if they would chant Hare Krishna, that the child would be quiet. So it became a whole thing. Every time child cries, then Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, immediately quiet. And then as soon as they stop chanting, again, and then, okay, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So in this way, Lord Caitanya made little Nimai, made everyone chant. So this chanting is the essence. This chanting is what it's about. And that combined with some rules of purity, then we gain more depth in the chanting. Even the first day it's fun, but the more we get purified, the more deep we go in this chanting, and the more we see there are many dimensions to the chanting. This is the essence. We can see that in the beginning, oh yes, just the chanting and the dancing is fun. I remember we had a Rata Yatra in Joburg, which wound up in a Heritage Day festival, and we were just arriving there with a rocking kirtan in the middle of a Heritage Day festival. There was a stage, there was a VIP area, and there were all kinds of different people from various tribal backgrounds doing different dances on stage. Anyway, when we arrived, the minister of the chief minister of Gauteng was there, and they introduced me to him. I was just leading a kirtan, and they're trying to introduce the minister of Gauteng. So we were dancing and we were singing. So I stopped for a moment and I said, "Can you dance?" And I tell you, he could. He could. He was pretty good, actually. So this is, it's very inclusive. Anybody can partake. Anybody. We were, any race can partake. Any culture can partake. Old and young can partake. I remember we went in Durban, there's an area called the Kloof, which is an exclusive, predominantly white area. And we were there with a program within the Jumna Maharaj. Bibi Govinda Maharaj had cooked for it. And Sri Prahlad was also there. And he was leading kirtan at one point. And everyone was dancing. Then there was one old lady, and she was like, she was sitting on the side on a chair, clapping. Then one brahmachari said, came up to the lady and said, "Do you want to dance?" And she said, "Wow, nobody's asked me for a long time." And then she said, "Yeah, sure." And then she got up and they were dancing. And at one point, they were swinging arm in arm in a circle. And at the end, the old lady, like, I don't know how old she was, but a really old lady. At the end, she goes, "Boy, I didn't have so much fun for 40 years. That was amazing. So miracles happen. Miracles do happen. So this movement is about actually going beyond ourselves, going beyond our limitations. And it's just related to Krishna. fun related to Krishna. We're dancing while chanting the glories of Krishna. We are making big festivals. It is very nice. In the Johannesburg Rathiacha, we have Lagu Hari, right? He also joined in Pretoria. He's from Bloem, and he's an artist. So he made different things, and what he made for Rathiacha, he made like a big Chinese dragon. And you know these dragons, right? They have people inside. And a big Chinese dragon with people inside. Yeah, and you see the legs stick out from under the dragon, and normally these dragons, they walk. But you know, this time there were not Chinese in the dragon, they were Africans in the dragon. So this dragon went totally wild. This was a dancing dragon, this was a jumping dragon, and a running dragon. This dragon was running so funky and so fast. I've never seen such a funky dragon. You know, the Chinese could never do it like that. It was an African dragon. So it was so much fun. So much fun. Yeah. So this is Lord Chaitanya's movement. It is the movement which is all about fun. And that is followed by a whole support structure of worship, of learning how to respect, of learning how to love. We bow down. We bow down with our nose on the ground. Yes, as a sign of humility. Yeah. Because who are we? We are tiny little specks, little sparks. I am the greatest in the world. Yeah. For how long? Little while. And then you're in your grave. No. It's Krishna who's the greatest. So gradually we understand. Okay, now dear devotees, today is a busy Sunday, and at 10 o'clock sharp, I have the next Zoom already lined up. So I have to now hand it over to you for questions, and then yeah, in 7 minutes I'm gonna unfortunately disappear, although I would like to stay longer. But what to do? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. His Holiness Kadamba Kanana Swami ki jai. Thank you, Maharaj. I see there is a question in the chat box and one hand up. So the question in the chat box was first. So Hare Krishna, dear Gurudev, please accept my humble obeisances or glories. Speaking about rules, we always will have to follow rules in this life because we'll never get 100% purified and develop that spontaneous love, which makes us fit to enter Krishna's abode, isn't it? So no life without rules. Where's the point that the mercy saves us, and though not 100% purified, we still can go to Krishna? Your servant Gita Govinda Devi Dasi.
Well, rules are part of a support structure. In spontaneous devotional service, then it's different. Then we don't depend on rules. We may still follow some rules to for the sake of teaching others, but no need. The pure devotee, he doesn't need to, he's not bound to rules. The pure devotee is acting out of love. And because the rules are to make sure that we will do nothing that is not for the pleasure of Krishna. But the pure devotee automatically does everything for the pleasure of Krishna. Therefore, for for a pure devotee, there is no need to follow such rules. Okay, yes, nice.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
It's nice to see you. I recently received an opportunity to study at the UWC in Cape Town, as well as to teach in the Religious and Social Justice Department. And I had an opportunity, or I was requested to offer some of our yoga, or the Hare Krishna yoga, to the students on the campus. And when I did so, they asked for help with food yoga, and I thought it was a very, very interesting request from them. And then when I presented the BYS kind of forums that were online for their perusal, they explained to me that the spies and I'm so grateful for the Joburg BYS because it gave us an opportunity to represent an African version of yoga. Or from their perspective, they said that the spies forum was too white, and I just needed some clarity from our side because we don't see things from that bodily perspective. But these religious people, they do, and I was hoping to find out how to address them and how to introduce this food yoga without any of those kind of perspectives being challenged. UWC is the colored university of Africa. They see themselves as that. They also represent the colored people in South Africa currently from the research perspective. And I just wanted some guidance or some insight into how to deal with him, because right now I'm kind of removing myself a little bit because I'm not sure how to address them currently.
Well, I think that when we speak about Bhakti Yoga, and sooner or later we will introduce some principles from Bhagavad Gita, and the first principle that Krishna introduced to Arjuna is you're not the body, and that will that's something we have to drive home, right? Not just say it, but have to drive this home by some examples. Yeah, that is very much required. Well, so if people can appreciate that we are not the body, yeah, then it becomes. I think from there you can build. Right? Then you can build about. And Prabhupada would do, he would say, we're not Indian, we're not American, we're not African, we're not male, we're not female, we're not any of these things. We are simply spirit souls. So we are very powerful spiritual beings. We're not limited. These bodies limited us, but we don't feel like being limited. Therefore, we feel frustrated. We want to be more than we are. We always want to be more than we are, because we're now captured in a body and limited, and it's not natural to us. It's unnatural to be limited in this body. So we're now in this body, we have it, it's a vehicle, we use it, but ultimately we are eternal spirit soul. I think that has to be the foundation of all spiritual discussion. And once that foundation is strongly established, then everything can be taken from there. Okay, I thank you. So I thank you all. I have to kind of get ready to escape. Maxine, I'm really sorry that I have to run away on the dot. but I have to now log in on another Zoom. So I thank you very much. And
Thank you so much,
please,
Maharaj.
if you want, I'm willing to come back after not too much time. Just let me know.
Wow, okay. That would actually be very nice. Maybe we'll talk to Wusa admin, Admin Takwa Guru, to see if maybe we can do that. And if I'm sure the devotees will come back. So yes, thank you so much, Maharaj. It was really wonderful having you and for you telling us how fun spiritual life really is. Do you have any quick closing words before you have to go? Do you have to leave right now?
Yeah, I have to really leave 10 a.m. I'm supposed to log in. So it's now. Therefore, have fun, try it out, and see, how the spiritual life is rich. And of course, in the beginning, there may be some struggle also, because we are still attached to the lower nature. But we don't believe in that. Therefore, by staying close with devotees, then we get the energy to choose for the higher path. We can't do this alone. We can only do it all together. Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Savi Sachi, Hare Krishna.